Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing individually and collectively as it was established at birth.
Good evening and happy Sunday. Thank you all for tuning in. I am Crystal Gunn, founder of the Amazing Woman Network and founder of AWN Cares, financial strategist, and host of Amazing Women Speak. Today is going to be a very interesting show because we have some special guests here today. So to introduce those guests, I'm going to turn it over to my BFF, Miss Michelle.
Amazing Women Speak, the podcast where we unpack the bullshit. Today we're going to take a little detour. We're really excited to have some very special women joining us. It's the reason that Kristen and I get to show up every single day as amazing because we have legacy. We've made a commitment to make this world better for these individuals. I'm really excited to have in studio and joining us via Zoom our girls. I want to invite in first, Jazmine. Please come on in and introduce yourself.
You're muted.
Okay, well, my name is Jasmine. I am an account coordinator for a marketing agency. I'm Michelle's oldest.
Yes, she is my reason that here we are, already. She is the reason that I realized I needed to be a better human being for this world. Followed by my youngest, Kimberly. Come on in and introduce yourself.
The youngest and the best, the youngest and the greatest. My name's Kim. I only get called Kimberly if I'm about to get in trouble, so don't call me Kimberly.
I call you Kimberly.
Oh, then I must be in trouble a lot. Right. But I am a senior account executive at Intersport, which is a sports marketing company. I just started there 2 weeks ago, so shout out to me.
Yay.
Bigger bag, better role. Did you have another question?
No,
it was just introducing
just
myself?
intro right now. Thank you very much. And last and certainly not least, the youngest of this crew, Nile.
Hi. My name is Nile. I am a senior at Florida A&M University. I major in criminal justice, minor in political science. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, this is going to be hilarious. Yeah.
So listen, you all are really in for a treat. This is our version of the Mother's Day episode. It was important for us to introduce to you our reasons, the reasons that we show up, the reasons that we push against the socialization, the reason that we recognize that we could no longer live inside the bullshit bar. I want to start this conversation. Jazmine, I'm going to ask you to lead the way as the oldest of these girls. You are the tribe, you are the leader, you are the voice and the reason that all of this even got started. So when you hear us talk about owning your amazing, showing up as your very best self, recognizing that you have a contribution to make to this world, what does that mean to you?
I think the main thing is it just means to be authentic, right? It just means that you left it all on the table, whatever that is. It comes easier to some than others, but there is a lot of code switching, and not just code switching, but just like being a chameleon in different settings, trying to not piss someone off or trying to fit in or whatever that is. And when you just say, I don't care about all of that, this is me, take it or choke on it. That's like owning your.
That's definitely your daughter.
Right. Right. So, Jazmine, you didn't wake up in that space, right? Like it was a journey for you to recognize, right? Like you're no longer willing. Let them choke on it. You're going to show up as your authentic self. Tell us a little bit about that journey for you.
I didn't wake up this way, and sometimes I hit snooze when it is time to wake up. the progress of 10 years, right? And so I work every day to give myself grace when I do code switch, and I do that sometimes. And it's so funny how it's just ingrained to us as Black women, right? And me working remote, one time my boyfriend was like, he mocked me because I went into that voice during my meeting, like, oh yeah, and I really didn't even know I did it. And he mocked me, and he didn't know it, but I got so upset with myself because I'm like, why am I still doing this when they never ever have to, or even think of it? So to answer your question, I just give myself the grace and space to, when I do it, to forgive myself, but then come back harder being me. Another thing that's a caveat for me, I'll say, is that I'm still finding out what the hell me is.
Come on.
But yeah, I think that's the main thing.
So it's never too late to discover that, right? Like,
yeah,
it's those moments like this that I recognize, right? Like, I did the right thing. Mm-hmm. I don't care how irritated they were at the messaging along the way. Right now, these are those affirming moments, right? It's never too late. And to understand the importance of giving yourself grace and being able to acknowledge those moments where you are code switching, right? Because we've been socialized that way. Yeah. And to know that you're no longer willing to do that, I love you. Yes.
And to think about when she was itty bitty and how we didn't know what we were doing
at all. At all.
We had no idea what we were doing. So yeah, it's great to hear.
So I got to give you a little bit of backdrop on that. So Crystal and I raised Jazmine together in a really small apartment at Michigan State University. Again, had no clue. We were smart enough to adjust our schedule so that somebody could always be there. But from that, we were just trying to figure it out. So to see you become the woman that you are becoming every single day, recognizing there's room to redefine that, Crystal, we did a good thing.
We did a good thing.
All right.
And then here's these two.
On any given day, we're not sure who's the mother of any of the three of them because they really do share one heart in so many ways. So you heard Jazmine answer the question. So when you think about owning your amazing and the ways you're supposed to show up and be authentic, the ways you're trying to live into your truth, what does that look like for you?
I don't think I actually own my amazing every day. I think some days I wake up and it's not my day and I sit in that. I don't live in it for too long. But I think it's also like telling yourself you don't have to be 100 at 100% every single day, because I'm not going to be able to give that. I'm not going to be able to sustain that and maintain that long term. So I think it's just acknowledging wherever I'm at that day and like being okay with that. And like then maybe tomorrow will be better. Or maybe today was a great day and tomorrow will be rough. So let me sit in the high that the great day today is, so that it's not such a knockdown tomorrow.
No, that's yeah. And we still do that at this age,
right?
Yeah.
There's no book for this, and there's 1,000 books out there.
Yeah,
and there's no book for this.
There is no book for this.
For life, is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. For your life, right? There's a lot of guidebooks out there, but your life, your story's so unique. There's not a book. So the fact that you get up and rewrite it every single day.
Every day.
But I think a really important part that you said in that was whatever it is, you live in it and you experience that. And I think that is really, instead of trying to say, oh no, and tell yourself all of these lies, this is what it is. And then you said if it's bad, you don't let yourself sit there for very long.
Because what do you get out of that? And I used to be really bad at this, where I would just harp on the situation, but like it's already happened, and you continuing to be like angry or sad or upset about it is like gonna do nothing. Like the thing happens, like it's over, it's done, move on.
Yes, Nile. Come on in here.
Oh my God.
Give her the question
She
again.
doesn't even know the question.
I think she said it best.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I really don't.
Yeah, you do. Because you get up every day and
decide something
to go to class or to not, right? And you usually are you're usually going to class, and you get up every day, and in those classes you express yourself, and you tell me the frustration when you all are having those conversations. So when you speak up in that is you owning your amazing. What makes you do that instead of sit there and say, I'm just not going to say anything. It is not time for you to be shy.
No, I just don't know. I think I just do it. I don't think it's just either do it or you don't. And just because you don't, I don't think that makes a difference. But it's just like, if something is bothering you, then you might as well talk about it. Don't complain about it because it's not anything that you can change. But if you can change it, change it. If you can't, then like let it go, because there's no need to like dwell on stuff that can't be changed.
She gave you an applause there.
Right, but we've all been stuck in that space, right? Like where we've held on to the negative.
Oh my God.
And there were times we let it define us,
Yes.
right? Like Jazmine, I think about so much of your story where you couldn't see yourself on the other side and had to just realize that you just got to keep getting up, right? Like you just got to keep swinging at this thing, and eventually life will give way and it'll make more sense. And I sit here,
Listen.
right, like months away from 55, still recognizing that there are some days where this joint sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you literally have to. It's a decision to push through. Like, good, bad, or indifferent. It is truly the decision to push through. And I watch. Like, I think about when Nile first went away to school, and she left here and went to Florida A&M by herself.
Right.
Like, she didn't. When her dad went, he had a crew of people that came from Detroit. She went by herself, and I'm like, I don't know that I could have done that. Like, that was huge to go down all of the, there was no one else. Goddad lives in Atlanta, so close, but not there. And to have gone through that and had to meet new people, and those people that, she first started hanging out with wasn't her crew, and then she got rid of those and found her crew. And she found her crew and just blossomed. And to watch it, I'm like, every day I'm taught something different by you. So I say I know I learn more from you than you learn from me, dear.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it is so reflective of what the mother-daughter relationship is supposed to be, right? Like, it's discovery. We're forever teachers and learners. And I pay attention all the time, right? Like sitting in a lot of observations and watching those relationships and recognizing that the ups and downs are part of what that story has to look like.
Yeah.
And as a mother, I tried to remove so many of the downs. And I think that in doing that sometimes, right, like there's that overprotection. And how do you create space for failure? How do you create space and sit back and watch that as a mother, right? When you know you have an answer that could cause something to be different, and you have to let them experience that.
That's hard, though.
It is hard.
Why did you do that?
That is hard.
Why would we do what? Let you
Why would you
experience.
not give me the answer?
So I remember, like, early on, it was important for me that my girls had space to use their voice in a way that generations before us thought to be disrespectful, right? Like, you aren't to ask questions, you just sit there and be silent. And my mindset was always, I get them for maybe 18 years.
Yeah.
And if I don't give them the tools and resources, or we can try to figure some of that mess out, when they get out there where the world cares nothing about them, they will be eaten alive. So yeah, we're gonna ask the questions, we're gonna have the conversations. And I just remember, right, like, everything they tried in the beginning, there was so much success. It's like, what is failure gonna look like, right? So she's not even gonna be here, right? Jazmine and I had a really different relationship. It's that first child, right? Like, and you're trying to figure it all out. And like you said, we didn't know what we were doing. And so we grew up together. And so 5 years later comes Kimberly, had a little knowledge under my belt.
Just a little, though.
Right, literally. I sit here at 55, still recognizing just a little bit. And recognizing, right, like, what's going to happen when Jazmine, like, she was in Ohio. It was still, right, like, you still can't get to them. And she was clear. She was like, I don't want to do this. Right? Like, and then how do you know when to push and when to pull, when to protect and when to reveal? so that they could be ready for this world, right? Like I as a person who grew having to address an illness that at the time had no clue what the story was for me, right? Like women with lupus 20 years ago, there was no story for us to be told. There was no funding for research.
Right.
And so every single day I woke up trying to fix a world for me not being in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot for a kid to hold, right? And so I still see the residue for Jazmine in that, right? And so to have to push her down to Ohio to say, like, now's the time. And she's like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, she was uninterested.
Uninterested, right?
She's like, I'm not going.
You can thank me now, Jazmine.
Well, I thank you, but the way the
She
school
doesn't
loans are
agree.
set up is a little crazy.
Yeah,
But
it's
no,
pretty ghetto.
I'll never forget, like, Mom, and I don't know if you remember, but when you dropped me off, everything was settled. Crystal was there too. Everyone had helped me get settled and moved in, and you were the last to say goodbye. And I just remember when you shut the door, I just was like, oh, this is really like a little back, story on that too is when it was time to like really go to school. I don't know, it hit me, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to go to school. I remember saying verbatim to my mom, like, yeah, I want to take a gap year and travel the world, like white kids get to. I just didn't see it anymore. I didn't want to, and so in that time I did get a lovely push from my parents, mainly my mother, and I definitely don't I don't regret it because the experiences is just something that I don't think I could have had in any other space. I do wonder what that gap year would have been like. I'm not gonna lie. So it's been great, and like Kim said, like, well, if you have when she was commenting on about like when to reveal and when to do this, so I think it's also hard as a parent is because your children are different, right? So there may be a situation that looks the same where maybe Kim would want to know and I may not, or vice versa. So I'm sure it's hard to be able to navigate in that space, becoming a adult, and you start to learn that literally your parents are just people, and like Crystal and my mom spoke on, like, really we were just trying to figure it out. And so I think sometimes initially when you find out like, oh, my mom just really was just trying to like figure it out on her way, and then with our situation, me being the one that grew up with her and saw things a little bit different than I think Kim's experience was. I don't want to speak for her though, but what I'm saying is that it just changes your outlook on just everything, and I feel like then I'm able to turn back and like give my mother grace.
And I receive all of that, right? Like I'm grateful that you saw me as I'm just a person, right? Like still trying to figure it out and got it wrong. And grateful that I got it right more than I got it wrong. And right, like was able to learn from some of those lessons that how we ended up parenting Kimberly was different than the way that we parented you, right? Like Dad was clear, you're going to college. Like it was not an option. So how do I get behind that and make that right push? When Kimberly decided, right, like she was just going to go up the street and then got to Michigan State and was like, nope, don't want to do this.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. I wanted to move back home and go to Oakland.
Yeah, and you thought saying Oakland being Dad's alma mater would be the thing. He was like, nope, not doing that either.
He told me I couldn't come home. Interesting, because he wasn't paying the.
Man, these parents they push it, but they don't pay it.
Financing.
Make it make sense.
We're back for him to hop in. Okay.
But go green, go white. It turned out
it turned out great. I didn't know what to do when I went to college. So it would be Friday night, and I'd be watching Scandal and doing homework. And I'm like, this is boring, but I like wasn't doing anything. So I guess part of that was on me. And then I crossed, and I had a bunch of fun. Junior year and on, it was great. I'm glad. At the end of the day, I'm glad I didn't move back home because I couldn't imagine. You're really good with freedom, but like I didn't want somebody telling me to be back from the party at a certain time because my plan was to move back home and like commute to Oakland. I was gonna live on campus.
You had a plan.
Yes. And I presented it, and it was clearly shot down. But again, I should have fought harder because neither of them were paying the bill that year at least. But yeah, hindsight's 2020. It was the right decision to stay up there, but it was not fun at first. I guess I'm glad you made me stay.
You're welcome.
Right. Because sometimes it is the push.
To not say thank you.
Sometimes it's the push, though, right? That because you can't see the other side of it. All you can see is
right now.
is right there. I remember now being very young, and Uncle Mike's her auntie, her nieces or whatever, they were all going. I know. I'm sorry. Her cousins, they were all going to the water park, but Nile called and was like, she didn't want to go, and I was like, I'm not coming to get you. You're going to the you're going to the water park. That's what you all are doing tomorrow. I'm not coming to get you tonight. And she went begrudgingly, but then had a really good time. And I think that you don't remember that, yeah.
I don't remember having a good time. I remember going. I don't remember having a good time.
You did. You had a good time.
No, I don't think that. I went, so I had no choice. I did not want to.
Yeah, I was not coming back to
remember
get you.
that.
What kind of kid doesn't want to go to a water park?
It was just with them. No, offense.
Because she didn't know. No, she didn't,
But I didn't
know
know
them.
them. Like, they weren't my.
Yeah.
They're my cousins' cousins.
Right.
So it's not like my cousins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will they hear this and be like, oh?
Probably, but that was years ago. Sorry. I don't feel like that anymore.
Oh my God.
So, Nile, yes, I'm coming down your street. Yes, I'm coming down your street. It is a really interesting situation to be raised the way that you were raised, right? Your parents were so committed to ensuring that your outcome was so different than theirs because of their lived experience, right? Like, you were a child who was born at home. Your mother was clear from the day that you arrived that your journey needed to be different. There had to be some pressure with that as you looked at your cousins and you looked at your friends that you had, and they were shaping you to have a different narrative. What was that like for you? And as an only child, right? Like, there's nobody else to bounce that off of.
And divorced parents. Let's just add another layer on top of that.
Growing up, I don't think I really realized that I was the only child or that my parents were. Like, I realized it, but, like, my dad, especially my dad, like, always had me with, like, other kids. And, like not in a weird way. Like, he had friends that had kids. He had a lot of friends that had kids. So I would always be around them. And people talk about, like I have a friend, and he's the only child also, and he talks about, like, he likes to be alone because he's so used to being alone. I'm like, I don't remember being alone that much. Like, I don't think I was alone that much. So that part wasn't, being an only child, I don't think it really affected me. Like, I knew, but I just wasn't bored that much. And then being divorced, I would not want them to be married. So I can't say I'm upset that they're divorced. I don't think they really would go together. I don't know how they were married. They act like family more than like they were in a relationship ever. So
I think we did something right.
They showed me. I learned what I don't want to do. No offense.
Which is
learning.
learning. That's just learning.
What?
Which is what?
I don't want to be divorced. I don't want to be an entrepreneur.
Oh.
I don't want one kid. I would have one kid.
Do you want any kids?
Yes, multiple. Or I would have one kid if I was like, I don't know. But yeah, I don't want to ever get a divorce. Or I would get remarried like a whole bunch of times. Just keep trying it.
Just another husband. Come on.
Yeah, like, let's just start over. I wouldn't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't like having to. I would run a career like that I could just have longevity in, because I don't want to have to be. I don't want to have to, like,
the risk of it.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. It's like either here or there. And I'm not really good with missing. I don't like that. So I would rather not do that. Yeah, those are really the main two things.
She said, when I told her this last time that I had quit my job, and she was like, what is wrong with y'all?
Yeah, my dad quit his job when I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
My mom quit when I was a senior high school. I mean, a junior in college. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
She was like,
why do y'all keep doing
at
this?
the same time?
I have rent. Like, what are we doing? And tuition, like, and a car, and a phone bill. Yeah, so those things I wouldn't do.
That's an interesting perspective, though, because you never think about what your children see that makes them say, I know I don't want to do that. That's interesting.
And even more, the power of the voice to say it.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of choke that down or cause it to show up in other ways.
Right.
And I think when you don't, I know when you don't give your children permission to have those kind of conversations with you, it's going to show up in ways that does not work for their best outcome.
Right.
Right? Like there was a time, right? No, this is your path and this is the path that you're going to walk. And not to be able to say, I discovered in your path that this is the thing that I don't want. And to be able to hear that and know that it's received in a space of love, not right like attack, it's a beautiful thing.
I don't think I have anything that I look at you and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. I definitely know I don't want to
Okay, wait, though.
Like,
She didn't look
I didn't look at her like, ew. Absolutely never.
That was giving the vibe. That was really nice.
It's like, I want to be like an attorney and like have a,
You want to be oh, right, you said criminal justice.
Mm-hmm. So maybe going to politics or
It
something.
was like, ew. Like, I don't think she said it that way.
I didn't
I
mean
heard
it
that.
that way.
We can worry about it on the replay.
Yeah,
That's pretty much
I
what
didn't
she-
mean it like that. I kind of maybe, but not really.
No, but she
You did
definitely
not,
did.
and it's
I
not
didn't
how
say
it
it
was
like
heard. It was not how it was received, right? Like there's a goal even in that, identifying, right? Like the things that you don't want, make space for the things that you do, and being able to be clear on that
Absolutely.
is so important. It's so important.
And because as much as your father and I both are for entrepreneurship, like I would not push you to say, you need to be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? And I think, especially in our era, Michelle, growing up, it was like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go and you're gonna get this job, and in a lot of families, this is the job that you're gonna do, or this is the job, and they miss the conversation of, well, what do you really want to do? What do you want to be? And I think it's important to listen first. Nile says she wants to be an attorney. She's been attorneying or lawyering since she was a baby. Like it's in her, and it would be ridiculous for me to say, oh no, you need to do something else, or don't do that, or don't. This is who she is. She's the defender of the people. Unless they're guilty, but yeah,
No, I am really. Like, why am I even defending this person right now? Like, they're obviously wrong. Like, I just find, like, every time I talk to anybody I meet newly, I'm like, y'all want to be an attorney? Like, yeah, I can see that. I'm like, we've known each other for a week. Like, what do you mean? But yeah.
So somewhere in between, right? Like Nile in her discovery, Kim from day one, right? Like she's type A personality. Yes. And very clear. And Jazmine is the creative, right? And so to sit in the balance of the two of them and try to help them to navigate, like what to do, right? Or when to provide the support, or when I'm providing too much support to the creative, right? And I think that that's one of the things that, in reflection, right? Like if I had to do it somewhat differently, like I have no regrets, like absolute zero. If you make me hit rewind, I would do 98% of it the same. But the spaces where I try to help Jazmine be creative would be the thing that I would undo, right? Like, sit back. Creatives have their own way.
Yeah.
And it took me until she was into high school till I recognized, right? Like, when you've got this type A kid and a creative, and Kimberly's do, Jazmine is going to be so reflective. And then when she gets there, get out of her way, right? Mm-hmm. But when we've been socialized to do, that creative space is hard to understand if you're not a creative.
Yeah.
And so that would be the thing, right? Like, let her loose and let her do the thing, and she's going to get there, right? Like, trusting that she's going to get there. And then trying to get Kimberly to step outside of that, right? Like, you don't have to march the line, right? Like, this 5-year plan doesn't have to be. And there was no talking her down from that, right? Like, there was no talk. So to sit in between the two of them, and navigating that where there was 5 years between them was an interesting part of this thing called motherhood.
Yeah, because
Well,
Kim is
yeah.
that soldier.
Go ahead, Jess.
Oh, I was just gonna say too. So like, there's a lot of pressure that comes from being the oldest, right? Because
I thought she was just going to say being Michelle's daughter. Go ahead.
well, no, there's pressure from that too. But I think I did my best to not let that. It does get to me sometimes, but me and my mother, we're alike in this. I feel like in some ways, if you cut Michelle in half of it is, Kim, and half of it is Jazmine, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like Kim and my mother have in common. I don't know if I would put my mom in the type A box for sure. And like, just being like, everything has to be a certain way. And I'm very much, even down to the way the clothes that I wear is very much just very different. I have felt like the black sheep just in our nuclear family, just because I just don't stress about the things that I feel that they do or find a little bit more important than I would. And so I think being Michelle's daughter and then also being the oldest, you're expecting me to be a certain way, especially I'll even go for it, like, as far as when my mother started speaking in the church, people were looking at me like, all right, I know you're coming. And I'm like, I'm not, that's not me. I'm not about to be that type of speaker. I really don't even want to speak right now. So, so I think, when you're the oldest, it looks like, you are supposed to be a certain way and have and be at a certain place in your life. And I think that held me back for a long time because I felt bad that I was not one where society would put someone in their 20s, now early 30s, and also in my family and social spaces with friends where Michelle's oldest daughter should be. You know what I mean? So I think that for me, like, that kind of, I allowed that to hinder me a little bit. And then, but yeah, I've always just been creative. And I think, again, going back to giving grace, I can understand why, having someone that's your child at a young age and you guys are kind of growing up together. And I think now there is more support on, other alternatives to life. But I think some of that did trickle down on like, no, Jazmine, you need to do this. You know what I mean? From the way my mother was raised, I think some of that did trickle down onto me when maybe I needed more space, like my mom said, to just find my lane that's a little bit more creative, and maybe brings my parents a little bit anxiety because, and maybe they don't, I don't know, but because it's like, I don't have that 5-year plan that Kim has, you know what I mean? So that was kind of hard to navigate too. It's just like, just because I'm the oldest doesn't mean, it's kind of like you saw a movie first, like, okay, yeah, I saw that movie first, but it doesn't mean a professor at it. I just lived it first. You know what I mean? Like, but
That's a great analogy.
As me being the oldest, my mom and father were able to adjust, even though it was just 5 years later. I think that's a long enough time to maybe adjust some things for when Kim came. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think once I let go of living a dying life, right? Mm-hmm. When I quit trying to set you up for the success of me not being here, I gave space for you to be more of that, right? Like I think you were in high school when I finally recognized, right? Like, let's redefine what failure is going to look like, what success is going to look like. And as long as I have a place to lay my head, you'll have a place. So if you want to try the thing, right? Like be the full creative, whatever that looks like. And if it doesn't work out, we're going to get up and try that thing again. I think when I realized that I needed to live and to let go of the idea that lupus had given me some kind of sentence, right? Like I could give space for you to figure it out. Meanwhile, like I just wanted it to be perfect for you, right? Living into that dominant culture value of perfection. I wanted it to be so boxed up that when I wasn't here, you could figure it out, right? And so letting that piece of it go, I think is when I realized you could have space to just figure it out. And again, that sits in that 2%. If there was something I could redo, that would be the thing, Jazmine. Right, like letting you get to that space earlier where creativity is your way of being. And how do I lean into that? Because I needed some of that.
Don't cry.
Because we have no tissue. But that's part of that. As we talk about it always, that's part of that bullshit bar. We gotta, you gotta have a 5-year plan. We want to, you know what I mean, and we want everything to fit in this box. Where the one thing that you all keep hearing us say is that we're 50 plus and we're still figuring it out. So you're not gonna figure it out. And when you look across the, it's very few people that figure it out in their 20s. It's very few people that even figure it out in their 30s, right?
What do I have to look forward to?
I know that's like shock for you. Like, wait,
do I have to look forward to?
But and so you do have to say, okay, well, yeah. Like Nile switched her minor to to political science. Is that what it is? And she just up one day and said, hey, I'm switching my major to political science. Minor. And I'm like, okay, but instead of saying, well, wait, no, you have to keep it where it was for whatever, because although she's forever said that she wants to be an attorney, I'm still okay if she's not an attorney, right? I'm still okay if she's not an attorney, and I don't know. I think I'm probably the weird parent that says, well, yeah, you can. No, you can't stay here forever, but. You do have your time and your grace to
So we all know that's not true.
I know,
right?
right?
Like we all know that's not true.
But yeah, it's just like being able to not put but that's that generational thing, right? Passing down that bullshit bar from one generation to another, right? Because I remember even when Alton and I were still married and we decided to open the mortgage company, we literally heard on both sides, well, you both are going to be like, someone's not going to have a job. Yeah, we both got a job. We just own the job, right?
Right.
And so to make sure that we don't push and continue to push that bullshit down on our children, it's hard, but to give them space to say, I'll figure it out in a minute.
Right, because some of that stuff that we're passing down are generational curses.
Absolutely.
And to break it is the freedom that we need, as opposed to it not, right? Like folks staying in marriages because that's, no, I'm a generational curse breaker.
Right.
And if us being the very best version of ourselves require us to live in 2 different households so we can raise amazing beings.
That is a dream. Oh, wait, do you mean after being divorced? I'm interested in marriage. Yeah, if we can live in 2 separate homes. Or like 2 homes that are connected by like a skywalk at Somerset.
What?
Yeah. That'd be definitely at least two rooms, 2 connecting rooms.
Yeah.
What?
Like a hotel. We just have like adjoining rooms.
And now talking about when she gets divorced, she's getting married again. So it's
Like, no.
That is funny.
Yeah, it's one of the things, right? Like, I'm clear that our connection continues to be as strong as because we do see the need to parent differently, despite the structure, right? Like, and the traditional ways in which our parents raised us. It's really important to give these girls, these women, the spaces to redefine whatever that looks like, right? And find a way. Still offer counsel, still offer guidance, right? Knowing that it's going to be received and we can sit down and have a conversation and judgment be suspended, recognizing that the story could look different and that be okay.
I think one of the biggest compliments that we get, and I see it with you and Kim and Jasmine's friend, and I've heard Nile, one of her friends said, oh wow, you know, I hope when I grow up and have children that me and my kids have the relationship that you and your parents have. I think that's just like so cool, and I think we got something right.
Right.
Like when someone else notices it and says, and everyone always says, you and your daughter have a really, really good relationship. Yeah, because I wanted her to be able to tell us the truth. And it's funny because we get all of the tea. We know everything. You know, it's me, her, and her dad on group FaceTime chat talking about, and we know everything that's going on. But I would much rather that than, but it gives her the space that she gets to be who she is. Like, I don't have to be someone different around my parents.
Right.
I get to be my authentic self. And I think that's huge.
Is that something that came with age? Well, no, you're 20. No.
What, talking on group FaceTime? Like, what?
No, feeling like you didn't have to change or like code switch from when you're with your parents to with your friends. Because I feel like I used to when I was younger.
When I was younger, yes. Now, no, because it's become to a point where it's like, the stuff that I do with my friends, I wouldn't do it like how I do with my friends with my parents, but it's like, I've gone out and I've hung out with my dad and with my mom, like homecoming at fam. It's classic, you know. But my dad was basically me and my roommate chauffeur the whole time because he was using my car. So, I mean, like picking us up at 2 a.m. at the party. So, how I'm a code switch then? Like, we've been drinking. Like, what I'm saying? Like, taking us to the party. I'm dressed how I was dressed in school. Like, it did come with age because now it's kind of like, well, I'm in Florida. Like, what are I going to do? Like, I'm already down here now.
But you were kind of like that in high school too, though. I think it started somewhere in high school, because
I say like when I started driving.
Yeah.
So like 16, 17.
Because I used to say, I need to know where you are. I need to know who you're with. Not because I don't trust you, or not because I don't. But this world is. And let's be real. Do we really think that they're not going to do what we did?
Right. Hello.
So
Right.
It's like, so, and I can remember her calling me and her friends in the background and her telling me the story of whatever happened. They got kicked out of the hotel room and they were like, they were just loud and you know what I mean? And the friend saying, wait, you're talking to your mom? She's like, yeah. And like, you're telling your mom that? And she's like, yeah, why would I? Because I know what we did when we were in high school too, and how I'm gonna act like they don't get to have those same experiences.
With my dad, it just comes from like the stuff he tells me, like the stories he tells me, and it's like, oh, I'm not doing what you was doing, so how you gonna be mad at me? Like we was the same age in some of these stories, and what you was doing, oh, you bad compared to me. So it's like I'm just gonna let you know what's going on. Like I literally will like call my parents on the phone, or like my friends will come over and I'll like go in another room. Like I'll just leave my friends to talk to my parents or walk away because I just feel more comfortable with them being around them. Or like I'll just be on the phone with my parents like while we're about to go out and like have my friends. My friends probably talk to my parents way more than I talk to their parents. Like, way more than I talk. Like all my friends know my parents because it's just like, they gonna know about it anyway. So I might as well tell them. And then sometimes I'll tell my parents stuff, and my friends will be like, "You told your mom that? Why would you tell them about?" And it'll be about them. And I'm like, yeah, like, yeah. I told him like I remember one of my friends was like dating. He was taking this girl on a date. And I was telling my dad the whole story.
Yeah.
We was talking for like an hour, and my dad was like, well, this is what he should do. I'm like, yeah, he should. And we just like going back and forth. Because it's just, I don't know. It's just what I do. I can't describe it.
This can be my public service announcement to my friends, because my mom for sure knows all y'all business.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
she knows all their business. It's
Yeah.
so interesting to me that you both were like so focused on not wanting to pass down the parenting you received to your kids, where like I feel the complete opposite. I've said multiple times, if I was ever to have kids, I bet like she has to raise them because I want them to turn out the way I did. So it's like I actually want the exact same parenting. So it's just weird that you guys were like, oh, I want the opposite, and me,
Well, I don't want the
same.
opposite. Like,
Or
I
I
think
guess,
I
like,
had
more
really, really
different.
great parents.
Right.
But I know that I didn't have those type of conversations with my parents. I wasn't telling them about
Absolutely
my friends. You know, that wasn't. We weren't FaceTiming back then, but they weren't like, hey, mama, to my, you know what I mean? So
That's so
But
weird.
I feel like that comes with like age too.
Or like a generational
Like,
thing.
yeah, because
think
I feel like
generational.
when I have kids and my kids are my age, and then my parents are their grandparents, like my kids will be able to act the same way around my parents because they're not like I'll wear stuff around my grandma and my granddaddy, and they'll be like,
I think it was our
do you have?
generation that changed. It was our generation that changed the need to do it from generation to generation.
Right.
Like my grandmother raised my mother the way that she was raised, right? And so that was the thing. You were just passing on those traditions. And trust me, because I didn't know any better, I tried that stuff with Jazmine, right? Like I was doing all of the things that my mother did with me and then paying attention, right? Like the times were changing faster than the ways of traditional raising was going to make her be successful. Right, so I had to, right, like you just had to pay attention to that. Had an amazing childhood, absolutely, and I recognizing, right, like, and the structure of that. On top of the fact that, right, like I was divorced. My parents were together and much longer than Dad and I were.
You're not
and
normal people divorced.
we are not.
It's
Yeah.
really weird.
It is not.
Yeah.
It's non-traditional.
It's
Right? Like it's
Okay.
non-traditional.
It's non-traditional.
We determined once again to break the generational
Yeah.
curse. Divorce didn't have to look that way. Dad and I made a decision to get divorced. You all didn't make a decision to have divorced parents.
Right.
So we were committed to showing up.
Yeah.
And it continues to this day to look weird to the outsider, and we don't
that's 'cause
apologize
we're
for that.
27 and 30. I don't know how 30.
And we're still your parents.
Okay, but like, there are weeks where you two talk more than I talk to either of you. And it's like, what are y'all talking about? It can't be parenting us. Y'all friends. It's like, what are y'all talking about? It has been so many times where mom will be like, did Dad tell you? I'm like, no, he didn't. But I know you know. Okay.
We are committed from the cradle to the grave
From the
to
cradle
ensuring.
to the grave.
And
great show.
so stay tuned. The dads are coming to join us in an episode in the
Supposedly.
future.
What?
We're gonna make that. We're gonna make that happen because what's important to understand for this that part of the conversation, right, was the foundation of our friendship. Our parents have known each other all of our lives.
I'm going to
And so
host that episode because I have the question
I'll be here.
for y'all. So this one, me, Nile, and Jazmine will host, and y'all will be in the...
The hot
Yes.
seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I have questions.
It is interesting, and I had never thought about it until we started talking about doing these shows. That I was like, okay, we have girls that are eerily similar.
We're the exact same.
Yeah. And then we both have these really great relationships with our ex-husband. I don't talk to Alton that much.
I think that's probably normal.
But now Alton and I will be on a three-way and we'll talk for forever or whatever. And it was that thing too. We just decided that we weren't together. It didn't mean that we didn't want to co-parent. I mean, we used to do Christmas together
Now that was kind of weird.
with me, him, and his girlfriend, and when
that
Nile
is
turned,
weird.
was it 16? And I said, I'm going to give her a Christmas gift. I'm not going to be there on Christmas morning. And he was like irritated. What do you mean you're not coming?
He's like, does your mom, what was your mom going to want for Christmas? Is your mom coming? Where's your mom? I'm like, look, I don't know. How about you just call and ask her? He's like, I remember we went to my cousin's, her open house, and he's like, oh, can I come? I want to come.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess. He just walked in like, hey. Like,
And I think that was the thing. Even though he and I weren't together, it didn't mean that he was no longer family.
Yeah.
And I think that was really it. But to see the look on people's face when they said, well, what did you do for Christmas? Oh, we had breakfast. They'd be like, wait, what? Yeah, we opened gifts and everybody had breakfast together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the reason why
weird, but-
they are the amazing women that they are,
Yeah.
right? Like, because we didn't let what tradition said
Right.
was to occur when two parents no longer
That
want to be
bullshit.
together, right?
Yeah.
We got divorced as individuals, not as parents.
Not as parents.
And if we were going to get this thing right, it was going to require us to continue to co-parent.
Yeah. Well, you
Yes.
guys do a good job of it.
I say all the time, and I am absolutely grateful that I have the best ex-husband ever, because the things that parts of parenting that he is really, really great at that I don't want to go up to the school. I don't want to have the conversations with the teacher. Oh, please. He is getting his backpack and going. You know what I mean? So it's great. And if I had to be you know what I mean? How you say you look back, if we were gonna have to be divorced, I think, this was the way.
Would you say the same?
Oh, 100%.
Henry's the best ex-husband ever?
Absolutely. And to this day, one of my very best friends.
Aw, so cute.
Yeah.
I can't wait to divorce my husband and be my best friends.
Right, like I'm clear, God makes no mistakes. And before I knew that my destiny was to be an amazing woman, to raise amazing women, I knew I had girls for a reason.
Yeah.
And as much as I stumbled and tripped and made the mistakes, I am clear that it was established at my birth to birth
Girls.
amazing women.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
On purpose, God gave me girls because he knew something was in me that I didn't even know was in me.
Absolutely.
That I was going to contribute in a way, right? Like this world got better on February 18th and on September 20th. This world got better. And without that,
September 16th.
right? Because again, can't tell some days who birthed who. I promise you that, right? Like this world got better intentionally because of the work that we showed up and did, and we were committed.
Yeah.
Amazing women raising amazing women.
Yeah.
So I say, with 6 minutes left, Jazmine Aaron, so very
Yeah.
grateful that you choose me, right? Because you had a choice to do something different along the way. I see enough fractured relationships between mother and daughter. You chose me. You let me figure it out, and you loved me anyway.
Yeah.
So very grateful. So very grateful. Kimberly Imani. Yes. All of that right there, right? Like all of that right there. The two of you have brought me the kind of joy that's unspeakable. It's unspeakable.
Yeah, we're really great.
You are really great. Own that, right? Like never push that down, say it out loud. And then God tricked around and gave me the opportunity to bonus it up with Nile. Right? Like it just doesn't get much better to know that every time we're together, something amazing is going to happen. Somebody's life is going to be adjusted and blessed. Somebody's life, because every time you go out, you take this amazing legacy with you and you own and operate in it in such a way that the world takes notice. The world takes notice. And I'm grateful. I'm so very grateful that you said yes back to me when I said yes to giving birth to you. I love you both tremendously.
Love you, moms.
I can't, or I'll start crying. You all already know, and we don't have tissue. But Nile is the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Right.
It's just absolutely the best thing that ever happened to me. And I say it. I said it before, and I say it again. You teach me more than I'm sure that I taught you. And I don't even think that you know that you're teaching me. It's like she's such a parent. I tell her that all of the time. And I remember saying to you, I think you were like 17 or 18, and we were out to eat as usual. And, and I said, I really like you. Like, I love you as a parent, but I really like you and like hanging out with you. Because, some kids are different. Right?
And some parents, a lot of moms don't like their kids. I tell my mom that all the time.
Yeah, and I really like you in who at that time she was becoming and who she has become. She just came back home from school, and I'm extremely happy because I know my summer will look different because we get to hang out, right? So very different. So yeah, I appreciate that you chose us as your parents. And that you still allow me to hang out with you. So I love you to the moon and back.
I love you too.
We are probably out of, and it's an interesting thing too. Just the amount of love, because there's not a day that goes by that we're not saying, I love, it's a normal part of the conversation.
100%.
I love you. Like,
100%.
You can't. So I hope that this conversation has sparked something in the listeners, for those who co-parent, knowing that co-parenting can be done magnificently. I am Crystal Gunn. Thank you guys for listening. I am Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing, and I am raising amazing.
Yes, you are. Once again, I remain very, very grateful that you're obedient to your call, that you are determined to make space for these kind of conversations. So very blessed to be able to call you my BFF, to be able to call Nile my goddaughter.
Absolutely.
Like, this is the village, this is the tribe. I'm so very grateful that you helped me figure it out with Jazmine. She is her amazing, right? Because of the things that we poured into.
For sure.
I tell her all the time, she saved me.
Oh my.
She saved me
Yeah.
and has been saving me ever since. And that space that I learned to be an amazing woman, to raise amazing women, is because I get to be able to call them mine. And they get to call me mom. My name is Michelle Harper. I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing. Jazmine, I invite you in to own your amazing as we get ready to sign out.
Yeah. Come on with the mantra, baby.
All
My
right, all
name
right.
is.
My name is Beth Davenport. I am a Black woman, and I own my agency.
Yes. I love you.
Oh, I just go. You're not gonna invite me.
I invite you,
You already in the
in.
room.
Kimberly, mommy.
My name is Kim Arnold. I'm the baddest Black woman.
Ooh.
And I own my amazing.
Come on.
All right, Nile, close us out.
My name is Nile Gunn. I am a Black woman, almost a graduate. From one of the best HBCUs.
Okay.
And I own my amazing. Thank you.
Did she say thank you?
Yes.
Okay, I absolutely love you guys.
Love you.
Love you too.
You all are hilariously funny.